Hello and welcome on a new video for Age of History 2. This time we will be playing Age of Imperialism, the new mod I'm developing for Age of History 2. But the interesting fact is, since Age of Imperialism will be a mod that will contain so much content that it'll put all the other mods to shame, this time you will see that we will not be playing in the Age of Imperialism, so like the main age of the mod, but we will be playing in the Red Flood scenario from Hoi 4. Indeed, this scenario has been really requested by a lot of people, and a lot of people like the scenario, me included. It's a lot crazy, it has a lot of stuff that goes insane, it's very interesting. It's an alternate history mod where the main point of the Virgins is nobody wins World War I. So if nobody wins World War I, chaos ensues everyone, and this causes a lot of mess. And the main mess is what happens in France, because France becomes the first state to completely accept accelerationism, this new ideology, as their main ideology for the government. And today we will be playing exactly that, so we will be playing Avant-Garde France. So this new ideology and this new nation created by this ideology of accelerationism, which gives a lot of bonuses and makes your country stronger. Anyway, the rest of the world is looking just as insane as France, so we can see the Scandinavia has been divided between the United Kingdoms, which is Norway and Sweden, the Kingdoms United, but it also has North Atlantic People's Councils, which is a socialist state. In Europe, it's completely insane because, as you can see, France does not have Alsace-Lorraine, but it does have part of its old colonial empire, but just part of it. But like in the Balkans, insane stuff is happening. Yugoslavia is also accelerationist. The Bulgarian Agrarian Socialist Republic has arisen in Bulgaria. Turkey lost the independence war. The Straits Commission is a theocracy which holds Istanbul or Constantinople. When there is the Kingdom of Montenegro, who has expanded insanely, and there is the other interesting accelerationist country, which is Fiume, which holds power over this land, and this was a real existing state, just not as this big, just this main province. And we have like this faction of people here, the post-Russian states here, and the Russian Empire still exists, just it's completely decentralized and holds governorates or general governorates over much of their old empire. So we have like the Orenburg General Governorate, the Southeastern Union, Novorossian General Governorates, the Baltic General Governorate, and stuff like this. And so the Russian Empire still exists. But you can see other stuff is happening, so India is completely falling apart, the British Raj exists only in the Madras Presidency, and we have the United Provinces here, which are led by Churchill, even if it's not here. The mod is still incomplete because I'm still working on it. It will be out in July probably, so that's why some leaders aren't here. And you have Japan holding power over Korea, which also is a governorate, and Mantetsu, which is basically this timeline's Manchukuo. Then we have Yellow Russia, or that's what it translates to, which is a republic on the other end of the old Russian Empire. And as you can see, we have the Indo-Chinese Empire. Abyssinia and the Congo have been going through a collapse. We have Prussian Congo, Beta Israel, and stuff like this. West African Union, so much new things, even in South America. Finally, South America is interesting, at least for when it comes to playing. We have this revived Inca Empire, another like accelerationist country in Peru. And we have the Brazilian Popular Republic, which is a communist state, the biggest communist state in the world. So yeah, I think we can start. And yes, there will be events, and you will see them exactly here as we play. So my preferred settings for this scenario are around 50% aggressiveness, because we still want some wars to happen. When the events will be finished, I will suggest probably just going for completely zero aggressiveness, but for now, where the events are not ready, I'm gonna go with 50%. Then for the game speed, I'm gonna put it at I guess 150. I think that's good. no terra incognita, and we're gonna go with the natural colonization because there are things to colonize basically. So as you can see, a lot of new ideologies. The Age of Imperialism mod has a lot of new ideologies that the other mods don't have. Accelerationist, socialist, even theocracy, as I showed here. Where? Here. Theocracy, dictatorship, a lot of new stuff that you'll be able to play as soon as the mod is out. So let's start and let's get ready. So let's see where the events bring us. First event, this is mostly an introduction to what's now ethno-futurist France, because even accelerationism is not a single ideology, it's mostly like a union of different ideologies. So in this case, ethno-futurism is the main one in France. So after the failure in the Great War, France was thrown into chaos as its unstable liberal democracy collapsed onto itself. Street battles became commonplace and crushed any sense of peace. The masses demanded justice for the dead, and post-war youth rejected reactionary traditions. While the reactionaries, led by Action Francaise, took power, it was too late, as the economy collapsed, following the shockwaves of the 1931 crash. From this chaos, Antonin Artaud, le patron of the Front National de l'Avant-Garde, rallied the masses and seized power. Now France is led by a radical new ideology driven on by two needs: speed and revenge. Faster, yet faster. This is a reference. I wanna see if someone gets it. Anyway, yeah, so our leader is Antonin Artaud, also called Le Patron. See where the next event is? What we fight for. France is the only major power that holds ethno-futurism in the world, so we stand alone as the savior and protector of the European future. We cannot surrender, and we cannot allow ourselves to collapse under the German Spartacists or the ancient relics of the United Kingdom. We have enemies but no allies. So this will hinder a bit our happiness, which of course isn't the best since we are a dictatorship anyway. Even if we are an accelerationist one, we're still a dictatorship. But as you can see, Germany is completely different from our timeline. And we'll see where that brings us. A dangerous divide. France is split between rural and urban. Our administration was born in Les Soleil and has largely found support in other urban cities, meaning our administration is completely powerless outside the cities. The common peasants of French society, not well integrated into the new futurist and accelerationist path of France, have become disillusioned with the government and its ideals of machines, metropolis, and arts. They are attached to the traditions of old, and certain terrorist groups in our country have been taking advantage of their misplacement in society. This has to be solved, or they'll just fill with peasants. So in this case, we can either choose a path to solve this divide or just to let them rebel. Just to show you guys, we're gonna go with the rebellion path and show you what happens when you refuse to mend the schism. Le Patron. Every element of France is geared towards securing the vision of Antonin Artaud, Le Patron, and its whole functions much like a theater with several elements at play. Born in Montreal, he had difficulties upbringing as an artist. Eventually, getting into politics as a futurist surrealist movement rose into importance due to the Fume endeavor, which is what happened here, and the subsequent communist insurgency after the French Civil War, which was overthrown by the futurist militias across France. Raising Artaud as their leader, he then became to implement several measures to secure his power, so he quickly proclaimed the Front National d'Avant-Garde, which quickly got to work banning several parties according to Artaud himself. Now France is a realm of dynamism and energy, violent gangs across the states suppressing anti-Artaud movements. We are all one with the Patron. So this gives us some happiness and some technology, while hinders our diplomacy. Metropolitan industry. La Métropole is an ancient and sacred part of France, which is indisputably French, and undeniably the sacred core of the world of the romantics and the gentle. It is incredibly important to improve and expand its industries, to ensure a better future for the French people. So now we're talking about metropolitan France, which in this case is not referring just to this part of France, but generally the cities itself, as you can see in the picture. And expand we shall. Since we have a decent amount of money, we can expand it and gain a lot of development. The threat that lies on our borders. The Red Menace sits on our door. Ever since they defeated the pathetic Weimar government, the Reds have been spreading their polluting, controlling ideology across every border that touches their foul land. They have turned what could have been a society as illuminated as ours into a boring utopia of equality and democracy. They despise us, and we despise them. They may very well be ethnically inferior to us, but these German communists remain a threat to the dreams of Le Patron. What a disgusting excuse of a country, or they aren't even worth our time. I'm just gonna go with this one because I don't want to trigger a war before, this specific time. But as you can see, they already hate us a lot, the German socialists. New Year's celebration. To celebrate the New Year of 1936, our Todd, Le Patron of France, has organized an immense public party in Marseille. Costumes, masks, and alcohol were encouraged. The party lasted until January 7th, with fireworks fired from artillery cannons across the city at every hour of every night. Huge bonfires roared ablaze, fueled by great stocks of primitive Renaissance art. So basically they're burning the arts of the Renaissance, because according to futurism, everything that's old is basically just done and shouldn't exist or something. In particular, our Todd picked out the Annunciation, a 1400s painting, and ejaculated on it, for utterly destroying it with an incendiary rifle, as crowds cheered loudly. The party had minimal coverage from the outside world, except for 3 American journalists with positive reviews towards France. The party has caused major damages to the city, but everyone had a great time, and now volunteers are cleaning up the city. A costly but enthusiastic party. So as you can see, basically everyone is going fucking insane, because at this point, if you're gonna ejaculate on a painting, which is probably worth millions, yeah, you can see where ideology has brought France in this world. Ignoring the divisions in society. Ignoring the schism between natural and urban societies in France is like ignoring a hurricane that is 100 meters from your house. It will bring to damages and suffering. The farmers and artisans of the country have started to radicalize towards what seems to be Celtic pagan paramilitary organizations that desire the end of the avant-garde state, or even worse, the end of a French state entirely. It's fucking Luddites. Who do they think they are? So as you can see, the fabric of society in France is being torn apart, and generally everything is being radicalized. So if the accelerationists in the government are already radical, there are like neo-pagan, semi-anarchist groups that are rising up in the rural areas of France. The question of religion. Since the establishment of the accelerationist ethno-furorist regime in France, religion has continued to be practiced in secret by the great majority of peasants and the inhabitants of the countryside. While it is well known that the general consensus of the avant-garde state towards all form of religion has been of discouragement at best, we are starting to think about releasing an official policy that could change the lives of the people for France to get forever. And yeah, we can choose either to ban all forms of religious practices or let them have religious freedom. Okay, I think you already know, if we ban all the forms of religious practices, we'll go down a path of religious insurrection, and we will be going against 2 different religious theocracies, which is not what we want. So we're just gonna go with the let them have religious freedom and not get some good happiness there, which we totally need because our happiness is very low. The pagans gain traction. In the countryside, a new futurist faction within our movement, the clique de Druidist, is demonstrating their political influence by organizing several Celtic pagan rituals in French forests. Most of their influence is in Brittany, but it's slowly spreading as the younger generation discover the sexual rituals involved. This new subculture is heavily influenced by Yugoslav Zenitism and French primitivism, declaring that Celtic tribes live fast lives despite their technological backwardness, as true speed comes from the mind, not technology. Marc Augier, who is hailed as the Master, has already organized his followers in a paramilitary group dressed in nothing but furs and wild animals. In the night, they claim that they can become real animals. So these pagans have been gaining traction, and we have to prepare for armed conflict. So we will get some troops in the areas here, and hopefully that will be enough to take care of them. Back to school. Millions of children across the nation have organized in excitement for the new school programs. Based on extensive research from our party's greatest scientists, we have concluded that all human thought has originated from a common futurist singularity, wholly embodied by our great patron. Therefore, with Le Patron's help, he has overhauled our entire education system to reflect his eternal truth. Our history books start with the inception of Le Patron, our literature consists of Le Patron's writings, and our mathematics are geared towards preparing a new generation of engineers, architects, and mechanics. Of course, some educators have expressed concerns that these reforms will do more harm than good, but with some digging, these teachers were found to require some harm of their own. These children will be enlightened with the genius of Le Patron. So we lose some money, but we gain some tech, which is great since we are preparing for the war. And yeah, so our children are being propagandized by the Le Patron, so yeah, that is definitely something. Anyway, the Acephaly. As many different factions arose from the ashes of the Old Republic, one of the most degenerate, perverted, and downright horrendous were the Acephaly. They desire to turn France into a state that gains wealth through organized crime, slavery, and organ selling. Their way of achieving futurism is through organs brought by sexual liberation that can be achieved by whatever kink the member of the Acephaly has in its mind. Their leader is Georges Bataille, and has started to take power in France since the formation of the Avant state. We won't let them go to power, we should let at least them debate. So this Acephaly path is something I'm working on. I don't know if I want it to become like a revolt or more but anyway, the Acephaly are basically, if you think, you can imagine anarcho-capitalism, but it's 10 times worse and it's geared towards pain, and that's basically the Acephaly. So we'll be getting some happiness here. And there goes the event, the attack of the Druids. While we definitely expected some sort of armed repercussions by the clique Druist and other rural population, we did not see this coming. Tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of armed men have appeared in Nantes and Bordeaux. Clothed with furs and pelts and covered by war paint, they scream and scare the civilians and then charge. They are too much for a single contingency to defeat. This is a full-scale civil revolt. So we can either go with nature's key to speed and become the clique Druidist or Druidist fronts, or we can suppress the movements. And since today we'll be playing like mostly of an accelerationist path, I'm just gonna go and suppress the movement. So there goes the immensely strong revolt. As you can see by the amount of troops they have, that is insane. That is a lot of troops. I don't even know if we have enough of our own to beat them, because they are a lot. But yeah, we will be trying to defeat the clique Druidist. So meanwhile we're starting to win against the Druids, we're gonna have to deal with these events. Our greatest enemy, a war with the Germans, is inevitable. It is the destiny of France, and all that is right to fight and destroy the German Red Scourge from the beautiful continents. Much will have to be done to turn Germany into more of our state's appearance, an image once we achieve victory against them. But for now our objective has to be the achieving of this victory. We will overcome these bastards. No, it's not the time. So we'll be going with the preparations, because we do have money and we have to win against this the communists. Because if we don't, our entire state will become communist, and we'll be forced to accept their ideologies as ours. Because of course that's how the events for the war work. A new event. The war with the Druids is almost over. The Ligue Solaire. It is time to spread the wings of ethno-futurism over the world. As many exponents of our movement rise from our continent and beyond, we will take this opportunity to form a new faction, the League Solar. But now, who to invite? So we have 3 options of inviting. I hope you guys like this mechanic where you can choose basically what nations to ally based on their ideology. So in Europe, ideology-wise, there are Fiume, Yugoslavia, Poland, and the recently formed, apparently, RSS. This is the accelerationist path that the Swedish or the United Kingdoms can take. So we can even go with the North. Okay, I think we'll go with the North and Fiume. So we'll be inviting the RSS and Fiume, and hopefully they will accept, because they can refuse, of course. That's part of the mechanic. And there we go, the war with the Druids is over, and we will be peacing out with them. But then comes the new war, the war with the Germans, of course. Bloodshed is inevitable. Finally, the time for war against the evil that is communism has come. We tried to lure them into declaring war first, but to no success. Now it comes to us to eliminate the red threat from the face of the world. And meanwhile, our alliance has worked, and we are now allied in the League Solar, which you can't see because there is an event. Okay, there it is, with both Fiume and the RSS, which is great. But we will not be showing this war. I mean, we will be starting the war and piecing out with the Germans, with the Druids. But we will not be showing the war itself because, of course, that is reserved for you when the game is played. And just to show one single thing, if it happens, yes, I just want to show you this event because since the war is pretty unbalanced, because the Germans are way powerful, more powerful than the French, we have this event, the militias rise up. Since the birth of the Avant-Garde regime, the old French military has been considered too reactionary and old-fashioned to continue as an institution in our times. Therefore, Le Patron replaced it with the national militia that rise up mainly for external wars, but can be used to put down internal rebellions too. Awaken, militants of Soleil. So we got a bunch of troops here, which hopefully will make us win. But anyway, that's where I will end this video. As you can see, a bunch of ideologies, new things, new provinces, new events, new mechanics, and yeah, this is this. Oh, also, I forgot to say, the last thing I will mention is the fact that, as you can see, there's a new background. This is actually optional. This is actually optional, and it's not forced. And I will just do like this for now, and then I'll go back. There are 2 maps of the Earth, and the first one is the one you saw in the trailer, whereas the second one is the one we are playing on right now. And this is just for aesthetic purposes, just to make you guys, you know, have the choice on which map you want to play depending on the scenario you're playing, and both maps have all the scenarios. So yeah, thanks for watching. We will see us in the next episode, and please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. Goodbye.